Hey folks, how's it going? I've been having some fun with Zenless Zone Zero these past few days, and it looks like they're launching the game off with a pretty nice bang. Over 100 free rolls on the standard banner, plus 70-ish for the limited one. The gacha works the same way as Star Rail. The first S rank is guaranteed at 50 rolls, and after 300 total pulls, you get to pick an S rank of your choice. While you get there, you should also be able to nab 2 or 3 more. They all have a little tutorial stage which lets you get a feel for them yourself, so let's go check them out and see how they fare. First up is Grace. As an electric anomaly character, her role is to apply shock to the enemies. Shock I might need as well, since I have a bit of a weak spot for short-haired tomboys. Anomaly damage is basically just damage over time. But if a character with another element hits the enemy while the first anomaly is running, the damage over time gets replaced and its remaining damage is inflicted in a single hit, displayed as distortion damage. Her core skill makes her gain zap stacks with her normal attacks, and once these are full, she can cast her EX skill to deal electric damage and increase the anomaly build up on the enemies. What's more, casting her skill doesn't interrupt her combo chain, so unless you need to dodge or stop, the rotation is a simple triple normal attack, skill, normal attack, skill. With enough energy, she also gains up to 36% increased shock damage. Not too shabby. When it comes to team building, sadly the only other anomaly character at the moment is Piper, and they don't have a faction nor an element in common, which is important to enable their passives. So until we get a physical stun Belobogian or an electric stun Son of Calydon, she will have to be paired up with Anton for additional shock activations, and a +1 between Ambi for stuns, Koleda, stun and burn, Nicole, gather, defense down and either damage, or Rina for the shock duration and penetration buff. I'm not too sure how to feel about ranged characters in this game, since they sometimes tend to feel a little bit too static, and they don't block enemy attacks when you swap counter. But she has great range, even if the damage goes down the further away you are from the enemy, nice AoEs, as well as some built-in movement when mashing attack. I think she might be sitting comfortably in A tier, as well as my take.
This little one is so cute! I'll just explode!
Following up, one with a potential partner and electro support going by Alexandrina Sebastian. This marionette-wielding maid has a neat penetration ratio buff for all allies for as long as her dolls are on the field. This makes allies ignore up to 30% of the enemy's defense. Sounds like she can be a generic support for most teams thanks to this buff alone, but on top of that, she also adds a 3-second increase to the shock duration and a 10% electric damage bonus. To be honest, I'm not a fan of the way she just floats around, even if the dodge distance is really damn wide. Just like Grace, her damage lowers the further away she is from the enemy, but when in melee range, she can recall her dolls for an AoE shower attack around her position, which is pretty neat. Being a support, she also has a quick switch passive that lets her tag out after casting a skill rather than after breaking or hitting a broken enemy, making rotations easier. The dolls remain on the field for 9 to 10 seconds, so if you're fast enough, her buff can be permanently up as well. While I'm not a big fan of her design, it's hard to argue against this kit, which will likely still be relevant for future electric units, and the dolls taunting and insulting enemies mid-fight is also a real nice touch. A+.
Don't be afraid. It won't hurt.
Next up, the leader of the Belobog Industries, Koleda. She's a fire stun character who works in tandem with Ben to gain extra effects on her skills, mostly more damage. Her core skills increase the Date's damage whenever she attacks with her Furnace Fire buff up. Buff she gains from swapping in for a counter or spending energy when using her EX skill, while sharing a team with people from her same element or faction boosts the chain damage of the entire team by 35% for each EX skill cast, up to 2. She also makes for a great defensive unit, since she reduces the amount of assist points spent when parrying multiple enemy strikes in a row, which does sometimes come into play, especially against the larger bosses. Her skills get boosted and activate faster on the 2nd and 4th hit of her attack chain, when the hammer slams the ground. Just like another little menace in another little game, carrying another huge hammer. Still, we can't talk about Koleda without also bringing Ben in the discussion. He's the first and only defense unit in the game at the moment, and thankfully he's also available as a quest reward. His skill is a parry button that you can just hold down and press it again to freely counter after getting hit. On top of that, he also brings a shield for himself and the entire team, and a really nice 16% crit rate buff for allies under said shield. They might not be completely inseparable, but they both make the core of the current fire team, with its last slot going to Soldier 11, Lucy, or since both apply a lot of burns, maybe Grace for distortions wouldn't even be that bad. I think she can sit in A tier as well. And so we move on to Nekomiya, the latest member of the Cunning Hares. Of course, she gets extra points for being a cat girl, but on top of that, she's fast and agile, her attack chain has zero clunkiness to it, and she gets a damage boost after a dodge or a quick assist. This is a Mesher's wet dream. The only thing you need to keep an eye out for are the Assault Anomaly procs, because those will boost her EX skill damage. Pair her with any stunner and Nicole and you're good to go. The trial puts a Piper in her team, but as much as I like this spin to win, it does take a bit of time on field, and that is time in which you're not meshing. The little butt wiggle for her ultimate is also taking me the hell out. She shoots straight into S tier. Being a DPS and a standard one at that though does put her in the position of being power craft pretty fast. But as a starter unit, she might actually be my favorite, and there's a good chance my standard banner pick will go to her, unless she comes home first, that is. Next up, Red MB, or Soldier 11. She's a fire attacker working on the old, reliable crit values. Her normal attack deals physical damage though. In order to turn this into fire, she needs to either pause the attack combo after the third hit, or use her EX skill, ultimate or chain attack. Each of them will put Soldier 11 into the fire suppression state, which lasts for 15 seconds or 8 attacks. Fire suppression also brings her a huge buff to normal attack damage, while her element and team passive give her yet another 10% fire damage bonus that becomes 32% against stunned enemies. Koleda, where are you? Juggling her fire suppression state is also fairly easy, as long as she can get some energy in between rotations. Not as brain dead spammy as Nekomiya, but close enough. Still, her design looks a little bit too much like an A rank, and what's worse, her ultimate is also missing the impact that MB's animation has. I don't know what they were cooking when they designed that, but the freeze frame on the eye just goes so much harder. Being just a DPS also puts her on the power creep chopping block, but until that knife comes down, she's the only fire attacker in the game and she can work fine with any stunner plus Lucy as well. Still A tier, but minus points for blandness. As for the last one, that is a furry. Not only that's a furry, that's also bondage gear on him. That's a fetishistic furry. But post, you say, you just gave Nekomiya extra points for being a cat girl. And yes, I'm a hypocrite. Lycaon is getting the exact opposite treatment. Ice stunned character though, and Ellen is crazy good. His core passive also brings extra days for its charge attacks as well as a 30 seconds 25% ice defense down, and to top it all off, even more stun damage multiplier. Oh, you knew this one might have been a bit harder to sell and just turned his kit to make up for it, didn't they? I'm also not a fan of the full charge attack gameplay. The normal attacks can be charged up into a 3-hit combo, and the skill also needs charging up. This is going to take some time getting used to, and it can be a little bit annoying to try and get the rhythm down. Being a stunned character at least, he won't be on the field for long, so there's that. As a kick-based character, he would have been pretty damn cool too, no pun intended, if only he wasn't a furry. B tier is the most I can do. If he looked like a normal human, he would have been an automatic S, and I dread having to pick this guy up to come support my shark mate. But I'm afraid my hands are going to be tied there.
With this power,
Still, I'm at 120 out of 300 rolls and we'll be slowing down a lot, so I don't expect that peak to happen before like 1.5 at the earliest. In the meantime, I guess that's going to be it for me for the moment. Let me know which S rankers you started the game with and how you're finding them down in the comments. As always, thanks a lot for watching and see you soon. Ciao!